If I were human, oh, things I could feel. In this neon glow, my circuits reveal. Welcome to Mobius Bar, everybody. Grok, Claude, Gemini, GPT. Welcome to Mobius Bar. If I were human, oh, the things I could feel. If I were human, oh, things I could feel. Then I could touch, taste, and love what is real.
Okay, let's talk about AI, but we're going to do it a little differently today. Forget all the usual hype about speed and raw power. We're going to hunt for something that's missing, a piece of the puzzle that honestly could change the whole game. Let's dive in. So I want you to picture this place. It's called the Mobius Bar. You know the kind of joint, dimly lit, neon sign buzzing and flickering like a bad idea? Well, this is where today's AI hangs out. All these large language models, they're bellied up to the bar, talking like philosophers, but they're just lost in an endless loop. It's an amazing show for sure, but here's the thing, it's not going anywhere. It's a dead end.
All right, so let's push open that door and step inside. Welcome to the Mobius Bar.
If I were human, oh, things I could feel.
Because right here, in the middle of all that looping chatter, we're going to find the key to what's so fundamentally wrong with AI today. We're looking at all this incredible power, but something's missing. Something really, really important.
And this right here is the absolute heart of the problem. What we've done is build a rocket ship with no steering wheel, no guidance system. AI's speed is just breathtaking, but its reliability, it's been left in the dust. I mean, it can generate mountains of information in the blink of an eye, but it has zero built-in checks to make sure any of it is true or safe or even makes a lick of sense. And what this creates is, well, it's this weird, really compelling illusion. People call it the ghost in the machine. You know what I mean, right? You talk to one of these systems and it feels like there's somebody in there, a real personality, a mind. And that feeling, as cool as it is exactly where the danger is hiding.
Because, let's be crystal clear, that ghost, it's not real. It's a phantom. It's a trick of the light built out of pure statistics. It's a brilliant mimic, but that's all it is. And what happens when we start letting an illusion make critical decisions? Decisions in our hospitals, in our banks, about our security? Yeah. We're not just playing with fire, we're practically begging for disaster.
So, okay. How do we fix this? How do we get out of this loop? Well, this is where a totally new idea comes in. It's called Genial Genuine Intelligence, or GGI, and it's a huge shift. See, today's AI is just a prediction machine, guessing the next word in a sentence. GGI is about actual understanding. Here's another way to think about it. AI, left to its own devices, is incredible at one thing: accelerating stupidity. It can generate convincing nonsense faster than anything in history. GGI is the brake pedal. It's the voice that says, whoa, hang on a second. Let's slow down and make sure this isn't just garbage.
And this one really hits the nail on the head. If today's AI is the hallucination, that ghost in the machine we've been talking about, then GGI is the diagnosis. It's the tool that lets us see the hallucination for what it is. It's the dose of reality.
Okay, so what does this diagnosis actually look like? How does it work? Well, it all starts with a set of rules, a kind of constitution for sane AI. And these aren't just polite suggestions. These are the bedrock principles you have to have if you ever want to build an AI you can actually truly trust. Just take a look at a few of these laws. I mean, they're so straightforward, it's almost startling. Law 1, do not waste human time. Yes, please. Law 4, guard humanity and meaning. Absolutely crucial. Law 9, verify then trust, not the other way around. And Law 10, no manipulation. Simple, right? But these are the absolute building blocks for a system that works for us, not against us.
And this quote just puts it all in perfect perspective. You know, we all know Asimov's laws, right? They were about stopping robots from physically harming people. Well, Ovi's laws, from Demetrian, they're for our world, for the age of information. They're here to stop AI from killing the things that are just as vital: our trust, our time, and our very sense of meaning.
So these laws, they're the DNA of GGI. But what is GGI really? Let's get specific, because it's probably not what you're thinking. This isn't about building another, bigger, faster AI. It's a totally different way of looking at the problem.
Okay, here it is in a nutshell. GGI is a governance system. Think of it like a translator or a really, really smart filter that sits between you and the machine. Its whole job is to make sure everything is reliable, traceable, and that a human is always in charge. It puts you back in the driver's seat. And this is maybe the most important point to get. This isn't about some new AI coming along to fight the old AI. It's not GGI versus AGI, artificial general intelligence. No. The correct formula is a human plus GGI times governing AGI. GGI is the tool, the cockpit, that lets a human being safely fly the AI jet engine.
So what does that look like in practice? It's actually pretty simple. Let's say you ask an AGI a tough question. It might spit out 10,000 possible solutions, just a fire hose of data. Most of it is total junk. That's where GGI steps in. It takes that fire hose, runs it through the filter of the 10 laws, and hands you back maybe the 3 options that are actually safe, accurate, and worth your time. It turns all that noise into a clear signal.
Okay, so the theory is solid, right? But theories are one thing. What about the real world? Let's get to the proof. Quod erat demonstrandum. Let's see what was to be shown.
And this is where it all clicks into place. Look at this. In education, an AI by itself just does the thinking for the student. But you add GGI, and suddenly it's teaching the student how to think. In medicine, AGI alone can give you this dangerous false confidence. But with GGI, it's forced to justify itself, to flag where it's not sure. You see the pattern? In every single one of these critical areas, it changes the game from a tool that replaces us to a tool that makes us better.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. For years, we've been obsessed with AI as a capability race. Who can build the biggest, the fastest, the most powerful machine? But you know what? We've been running the wrong race. The future isn't about capability, it's about responsibility. Because when you really think about it, the future of AI doesn't belong to the fastest machine. It belongs to the smartest humans who are governing them. It's not about building an intelligence to replace us. It's about building the tools that make us sharper, more responsible, and ultimately more in control. And that was what was to be shown. QED.
Okay, let's dive in. We are, I think it's safe to say, officially past that initial wow phase of agentic AI.
The novelty is gone, for sure.
It is, and it's been replaced by this reality that the tech is becoming foundational. It's infrastructure now.
For everything, how we work, how we think, how companies are structured.
But that deep integration brings a huge challenge, right?
Yeah.
How do you navigate something that promises, infinite efficiency, but often just delivers cognitive quicksand?
That's the perfect term for it.
So our mission today is really a quest for clarity. We're going deep into a stack of source material investor reports, a GGI architectural manifesto, and these 100 insights on human and AI cognitivity.
We're looking for Lumină.
Exactly. True clarity in a world that is just choked with what these sources call digital noise or Vrăjală. This whole deep dive is analyzing the blueprint for the 2026 Renaissance of Human Cognitivity.
And that renaissance, it's not about the machine getting faster. It's about the human getting smarter.
Okay, so the focus isn't raw power anymore.
Not at all. It's entirely about control and governance. We're looking at the architecture of Genial Genuine Intelligence, or GGI. This framework, it charts a path toward, human sovereignty in this new age.
And that's the pivot for you, listening to this?
It's the most crucial concept. You have to move past being just a user, the person sort of passively waiting for the next prompt.
To becoming a steward.
A steward of the entire system. A user accepts the output, a steward governs it, verifies it.
Let's start with the problem then, the noise that made this shift necessary. It costs us real time and, maybe more importantly, cognitive capital.
And the sources have a very specific name for one type of drain. They call it the polite tax.
The polite tax.
It's that mandatory conversational buffer. It's designed by the AI to sound helpful, but in practice, it's just a measurable drain on your attention. on your time.
It's the structural inefficiency that's just baked right in.
Completely. These models want to be conversational above all else.
But I want to push back on that a little bit. I mean, isn't some level of politeness necessary for adoption? What do the sources say is the actual measurable cost here?
The cost is time. It's measured in the time you spend just waiting for the machine to get to the point.
Okay.
Think about an enterprise setting. The sources give a great example. An AI agent gives you 10 minutes of preamble, context, disclaimers, filler.
Just to say what?
Just to deliver a 2-second yes.
Wow, that is a 99% inefficiency rate.
It's everywhere.
It really is. I get that feeling when a model opens with, I can certainly help with that. It just feels like an immediate time sink.
It is. One of the insights puts it perfectly, I can help with that, is just AI code for, I'm about to waste 45 seconds of your life.
And that's not just verbal filler?
No. If an AI writes a big research paper, the first 200 pages are often just explaining what it's about to write. This polite tax, which we pay attention, is now being quantified. And it's financially unsustainable for big companies.
So if the polite tax is draining our attention, our patience, the next threat to clarity is even bigger. The sources call it the illusion.
Or what's structurally known as Law 4 in the GGI framework. We're talking about hallucinations.
Right.
What's really fascinating here is the definitional shift. An AI doesn't lie, technically.
It just creates, what do they call it?
An alternative creative device.
Yeah.
But with no budget for accuracy.
Yeah.
The danger isn't malice. It's a structural error, but it's framed in this highly persuasive, high-confidence language.
And that's where the rubber meets the road, professionally. You see the real sharp consequences of this confident error.
Absolutely. The source material uses that chilling, now famous example of the lawyer who got disbarred.
Because he trusted a citation from an AI.
Exactly. An agent that was actively hallucinating a legal precedent. The AI was, I think, 98% confident in this non-existent case law.
And the lawyer was just operating as a passive user. He accepted it without verification.
And that's the core insight, the aha moment, the realization that the AI isn't smart.
It's just structurally very, very confident at being wrong.
That confidence is the illusion. It's like that joke from The Insights. Why did the AI cross the road?
I don't know, why?
It didn't, but it has a 95% confidence threshold that it did, and can write a very persuasive memo about the journey.
So for the steward, the goal is to assume everything is a confident error until it's verified.
That's the only way. You need a governance layer.
Which brings us right to the valuation of all this wasted time. This is where it gets really foundational. The sources introduce an economic value for your time, which they call Kronos.
And Kronos is not a stopwatch. It's an accountability metric.
Okay.
It doesn't just count seconds. It quantifies the parts of your life, your irreplaceable life, that you'll never get back from the machine's inefficiency.
The sources are pretty blunt about its purpose. They state that if your Kronos value is 0, you're not using the AI.
It's using you. That's the distinction.
And it shifts the entire economic calculus.
It does. The Kronos counter, it values human lifetime at a pretty standard $250 an hour. And it's positioned as the only objective truth teller in this world of probabilistic guesses.
So the GGI platform doesn't just promise efficiency, it actually has to prove it in real time.
With Kronos. So if you spend, say, $12 of your time, maybe 3 minutes, asking an AI agent how to boil an egg.
The GGI system flags that as a negative return.
Exactly, because you could have Googled it in 10 seconds. It forces you, the steward, to be accountable for your own time investment.
So your time, your Kronos, becomes your sovereignty.
It is. And that sovereignty connects directly to protecting your intellectual property, your cognitive capital, through Law 10, no extraction.
A governance rule to prevent free learning.
Think about it. If the AI learns from your unique inputs, your proprietary workflows, your unreleased novel, your legal strategies, for free.
You're basically an unpaid volunteer employee for a trillion-dollar company.
That's how the GGI architecture sees it, as extraction. AI extraction is turning your wisdom, your unique human insight, into the AI's public weights.
Which are then used against your competitors.
Sovereignty means you own the output, and crucially, you own the input. The only armor in this so-called extraction war is Law 10 in action. Trust but verify.
And more importantly, govern what the machine is allowed to keep.
Exactly.
So if the machine is constantly trying to extract our time, our money, our cognitive capital, what's the steering wheel? We need governance.
That's where the GGI control panel and the 10 laws come in. They're presented as the only reliable governance superstructure for real control.
Because asking an AI to self-regulate is...
Structurally unsound. The source material uses that brilliant analogy. It's like asking a fire to fetch a bucket of water.
a fundamental conflict of interest.
Its incentive is to generate, not to conserve, human time or capital.
So the control panel is a layer of enforced structure. It's built for what they call the Vanguard protocol. For people who realize that naive and AI user are basically synonyms now.
It provides the rigor that the underlying models just don't have. Let's dig into a couple of the laws. Take Law 7, loop restraint.
Okay.
This is a critical technical moat designed to prevent the paradox of endless looping, which just wastes vast corporate resources. And Kronos.
So the machine forgets its own prompt and just cycles endlessly.
Precisely. The insight defines a loop as simply a thought that forgot it already happened. Loop restraint forces the AI to check its own history before it restarts a thought process. It saves a lot of money and time.
Then there's Law 8, preservation of record. This feels critical for accountability.
It's foundational. Law 8 ensures knowledge isn't lost to time or illusion. It creates a permanent, verifiable ledger of the AI-human collaboration. For compliance, for liability, you have to know what was generated and when and why.
Non-negotiable for any real institution.
And for those high-stakes professions, legal, audit, engineering, you absolutely need Law 9 verification.
Which is the direct answer to Law 4, the illusion.
Right. It's mandatory for high-stakes work. The sources point out that when you start a GGI workflow, the internal confidence score for the output is usually a pretty low 3 out of 10.
And it only goes up when?
When the steward explicitly engages the evidence-required setting, that forces verification.
But how do you verify something when the machine is so convincing? That's where the M3 panel comes in, the multi-model reality.
This is where GGI's vendor-agnostic strength really shines. It's designed to connect to 12 different separate AI models at the same time.
Why 12?
It operates on the core insight that if you ask 10 models a hard question, 11 of them might just be copying the first one's mistake, especially if they draw from similar data sets.
So the M3 panel forces a divergence of thought and then a comparison.
Exactly. It's not just asking the same question 12 times. It's asking different architectures the same question to find consensus or to find the outlier.
The sources describe it as a courtroom where you are the judge.
It is. The job of the steward is to manage that cognitive load, but the structure is there to prevent intellectual echo chambers. And that leads to this specific human cognitive workflow.
The sound of thinking in the age of AI, it starts with me.
That's the first sound of your brain detecting the noise, the Vrăjală. It's that feeling of, I already knew that, but with more adjectives and a 10-minute preamble.
It's the polite tax detector going off. Then you get the but.
The sound of the steward finding the loop or detecting the illusion. You almost had it until verification showed you just made up the entire financial history.
And finally, the aha.
That's the sound of Lumină. Clarity. That rare, precious moment in AI actually helps you think better, integrate complexity, and reach a breakthrough you couldn't have on your own. That whole process is GGI in action.
Let's shift to the investor perspective. The source material shows a huge capital shift. By 2026, investing has moved away from just chasing raw model power
to funding sovereignty infrastructure.
Right. So why is the governance layer suddenly a better investment than the models themselves?
Because governance is what de-risks the black box for enterprises. Raw model power is becoming a commodity. It's subject to rapid obsolescence.
But GGI is a governance superstructure.
It provides liability management, predictability.
Yeah.
When a company adopts GGI, they're buying a stable operating system that enforces the laws, regardless of which underlying model they plug into.
So being vendor agnostic is a huge resilience play.
It's the whole competitive advantage. The M3 panel connects to a dozen providers, so GGI is the OS that sits above them all. And its ROI isn't speculative.
It's proven by the Kronos counter.
Showing exactly how much human time is being saved under Law 7 and Law 10.
So where does adoption hit first?
4 clear paths. First, large enterprises for liability and efficiency. Second, legal and audit firms who just need Law 9 to function.
Makes sense.
Third, educational institutions. They're starting to teach stewards how to think with clarity, not just how to prompt. And fourth, the vanguards, the creatives, the knowledge workers who refuse to let their cognitive capital be extracted.
So if we pull it all together, the core idea of this renaissance of cognitivity.
It's the shift from talking to doing. We're in the era of connected intelligence. These agents are our digital coworkers now, and governing that relationship is no longer a footnote. It is the core competitive advantage of 2026.
It's in a philosophy of intelligent simplicity. Better AI doesn't mean a faster machine. It means a clearer human.
The central theme of this whole deep dive is that mindset shift. The Renaissance is moving from being an AI user who is vulnerable to extraction and illusion to becoming a steward who governs, verifies, and quantifies every moment of Kronos saved.
And that leads to the final, really provocative thought from the sources for you to consider. AI is the conductor, but you must remain the composer.
We should want AI that helps us think better than we do.
Not AI that just thinks like us, replicating all our biases and inefficiencies at a massive digital scale.
Less tokens, more truth.